This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardenes, to use this as an educational material.
Good day, everyone. We are the Group 5 and we are going to discuss to you about the globalization of religion. First, we need to identify our objectives. First is explain how globalization affects religious practices and beliefs and analyze the relationship between religion and global conflict and conversely, global peace. Second, explain the role of media in the globalization of culture and religion. Next is understand the creation of global village. Lastly, an answer, does religion unite the global village?
How globalization affects religious practices and beliefs. Globalization refers to a historical process by which all the world's people increasingly came to live in a single social unit. It implicates religion and religions in several ways. From religious or theological perspective, globalizations holds forth religious response and interpretation, bringing increasing connections globally as a result in the spread cultures, ideas, religion for the past few centuries, as we have connected with peoples around the world previously and accessible to us. Religion has been spread along with other goods and knowledge. Globalization has spread religions like Christianity, a place that wasn't before, while simultaneously creating uniformity in how those religions are practiced by different geographical distinct groups. So, yet religion and religious have also played important roles bringing out practicing globalization. In short, globalization allows religions previously isolated from one another to now have regular, unavoidable contact. As a result, globalization brings to light the fact that since religions have similar values, that one of them is correct and therefore can be changed.
My name is Professor Geoffrey Haynes. I am the director of the Centre for the Study of Religion, Conflict and Cooperation at London Metropolitan University. The overall topic of my talk is the impact of globalisation on religion. The topic itself is divided into three parts, three components. In the first component, I seek to describe how I understand the term globalization. I seek to explain how globalization is, in my view, best characterized by different forms of globalization, which added together can give us an overall perspective on this controversial yet contested issue. I make the point that for me, the important phase of globalization, which I should be looking at more generally, is from the late 1980s, the demise of the Cold War, followed by the demise of the Soviet Union and the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe. That, I shall explain, has given the conditions for a wider impact of globalization.
Hello everyone, I am Engine Cadet Olasiman Ritz Rudelans, and as a continuation of this report, how globalization affects religious practices and beliefs. So, according to the website aspeninstitute.org about free speech and religion of the Religious Pluralism 101, religious pluralism, as seen in the PowerPoint, is the state of being where every individual in a religiously diverse society has the rights, freedoms, and safety to worship or not according to their conscience. This definition is founded in the American motto E pluribus unum, that we as nation are gathered together as one of out of many. So, on my own understanding with regards to on how globalization affects religious practices and beliefs, globalization encourages the freedom of choosing their own religion. So, as a result, there is a various or different kinds of non-institutionalized religious manifestations that will become as a political and cultural resource. So, globalization's effect on religious practices and beliefs is that it provides the way for religions to be shown that it has similar values to other religions. Globalization creates a pathway or ground for all of the global citizens to show their beliefs and religious practices from not being isolated at all. Globalization is also like a ground for the global citizens to choose their own religion from the encouragement of the globalization itself about religious pluralism.
Experience taught Stone Age people the difference between what poisoned them and what satisfied their hunger. Their minds gathered empirical realities necessary for survival. They did the best they could in drawing conclusions about the world beyond them. They assumed that they were at the center of the universe, which they saw as flat, small, and under the sky. They called themselves the people and thought that strangers were creatures of another sort, less human than they. They believed that if they ate the flesh of a strong beast, they might acquire its spirit. Or if they ate a portion of the body of a leader who had died, they might acquire his special qualities. They assumed that the sun and moon they saw moving across the sky were animate beings. A face of a dead person they knew and recognized in the peculiar shapes on the face of a rock was associated with the living spirit.
So good day everyone. So I'm Harvin Caballero. So I'm gonna tackle today the relationship between religion and global conflict. In given religion's importance as both a source of international conflict and as resource for peacemaking, it is regrettable that the US government is so ill equipped to handle religious issues and relate to religious actors. If the US government is to insert itself into international conflict or build deeper and more productive relationships with countries around the world, it needs to devise a better strategy to effectively and respectfully engage with the religious realm. So, the relationship between religion and the global conflict is to so I'm gonna talk the summary about this report. So in summary, there is no religion, a major religion has been exempt from the ex- complexity in the violent conflict. Yet we need to be aware of an almost universal propensity to oversimplify the role that religion plays in international affairs. Religion is not usually the sole or even primary cause of conflict. Next is, with so much emphasis on the religion as a source of conflict, the role of religion as a force is peacemaking is usually overlooked. Then religion is affli- affiliation and conviction often motivates religious communities to advocate particular peace-related government policies. So religion's community also directly oppose preparation and promote peace and reconciliation. A religious leader and institution can immediate in conflict situation, serve as the communication link between opposing sides, and provide training in peacemaking methodologies. These forms of religious is peacemaking. Less public attention but is growing in importance. So, given religion importance as a both of source of in the international conflict and resource for peacemaking, it is regrettable that the US government is so ill to equip to handle religious issues and relate to religious actor. If the US government is to insert itself into international conflict or build deeper and more productive relationship with other countries around the world, it need to devise a better strategy effectively and respectfully engage with the religious realm. So In recent decades, religion has assumed unusual prominence in international affairs, and that's all for my part of this report. So thank you all.
I don't deny that religion has positive contributions. Religions, in the best sense, have contributed to charity and a humanitarian outlook, and they've given consolation to the bereaved and the suffering of people, and they've given hope to the forlorn. Okay, but religions have also been negative. They've censored truth. They stimulate intolerant hatred for those who don't accept what you want. They block science. So you have to really appraise the negative and positive aspects of religion. And I think in the Middle East, religion is very negative and destructive. After 9/11, man,
Good day everyone. Today I am going to tackle about the relationship between religion and global peace. So, according to the analysis, countries without a dominant religious group are on average 17% more peaceful than countries with a dominant religious group. So, the somehow the relig- religion could also affect the peace, global peace, or with the in the country also. So we need to balance the peace, and peace is not achieved by 100% achieved through the religion, but also it would also start within ourselves. So, and global peace, and it will follow, and global peace. So because when there is a high percentage of when there is a dominant religious group, it would somehow bring conflict because of their beliefs of the different religions. So there will uh, there will be a conflict, misunderstanding that will lead to some uh, uh, what do you call this, away, fight, or trouble. Okay, so these countries have also averaged 25% less religious restrictions, and religious hostilities are 40% lower. So the significant connection between religion and global peace is that the high levels of peace are related either to low levels of religious diversity or high levels of religious diversity. So moderate levels of diversity see lower levels of peace, that highlighting the bell curve of nature, and of the nature of between the peace and the religious diversity. So, relationships between peace, as measured by the GPI, or Global Peace Index, and various religious measures related to levels of religious beliefs, restriction, and hostilities towards religion, combined with a number of other socio-economic factors. So, peace and global peace and religion is so important, so that it would affect also the global the socio-economic factors. So the a key source of information in the analysis include two indices, so which measure the government restrictions on religion and socio hostility towards the religious group. And that would be all for my part. Thank you for listening.
religions inherently negative forces in contemporary human experience, as many critics claim? Or are religions always sources for human flourishing, as people of faith and defenders of faith often assert? Is religious extremism and the violence associated with it the true face of religion? Or is religious extremism a perversion of faith, enacted by those who misrepresent or misunderstand the true heart of all religions? In Religion, Conflict, and Peace in Contemporary Global Affairs, we'll explore how both of these common and widespread assertions about religion are equally problematic, and how a more nuanced and sophisticated understanding of the power of religion in human experience can generate fresh insights and creative solutions to some of the world's most intractable challenges. Join us.
So, hi, I'm Engine Cadet Seth Christian B. Sator, and I'm gonna report about the role of media in the globalization of culture and religion. So, the received view about the globalization of culture is one where the entire world has molded in the image of Western and mainly American culture. In popular and professional discourses alike, the popularity of Big Macs, Baywatch, and MTVs are touted and unmistakable signs the fulfillment of Marshall McLuhan's prophecy of the global village. The globalization of culture is often chiefly imputed to international mass media. After all, contemporary media technologies such as satellite televisions and the internet has created a steady flow of transitional image that connect audience worldwide. Without global media, according to the conventional wisdom, how would teenagers in India, Turkey, Argentina, and especially in Philippines embrace a Western and Eastern lifestyle of Nike shoes, Coca-Cola, and rock music? Hence, a putatively strong influence of mass media of globalization of culture. As the name suggests, media globalization is worldwide integration of media through the cross-culture exchange of ideas, while technological globalization refers to the cross-cultural development of exchange of technology. The mass media are today seen as playing the key role of enhancing globalization and facilitating cultural exchange and multiple flows of information and images between countries through international news broadcasts, television, programming, news, technologies, films, and musics. So that will be all, and thank you.
Hi! Have you ever wondered how we came up to this, 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 and many more of this? So, hi! Any ideas what our topic today would be? As you can see, the world today has already its transition from traditional to digital when talking about media. I would assume that you guys already knew what media is. You know it, right? Media that involves communication channels through which news, entertainment, education, data, or promotions are disseminated. Yes, that media. Okay. Anyways, I am here to tackle about these things with you today. Our first topic will be the evolution of media and globalization. Scholars like Harold Innis, James Lull, Terry Rantanen have found it logical to organize the historical study of media by time period, since each stages is characterized by a dominant medium. These are the time periods that scholars organized. We have the oral communication, script, the printing press, electronic media, and lastly, digital media. In 1950s, Harold Innis divided media into three periods, namely oral, print, and electronics. Later then followed by James Lowe at the close of 20th century adding digital. And lastly, in 2005, Terhi Rantanen added script before the printing press. Oral communication is known to be the oldest and enduring of all media. Despite numerous changes, the first and last thing that humans could share is the ability to speak. Speech has been with us for at least 200,000 years. When speech developed into language, it has become a medium that aids globalization. But how? Language helps humans to move and allow them to cooperate, such as sharing information that would help the human's ability to travel and adopt various environment, like the land, water, and climate. Also sharing information about tools and weapons that led to the spread of technology. Language helped humans to settle down. It has transmitted information across generations, leading into the creation of villages and towns. It also led to markets, trades, and giving rise to cities. According to Osler, language was their most important tool. Script, the very first writing, allowed humans to communicate and share knowledge or ideas over much larger spaces and across longer times. Language was essential but imperfect. Distance is a hindrance. Time also causes difficulties and relies on human memory, which is hard because it has limited capacity. Hence, writing. Early writing system began to appear after 3000 BCE. Writing has also its evolution, from cave paintings, petroglyphs, and hieroglyphs, until it led to the creation of alphabets. However, script is about writing, so it needed to be written on something, right? Writing was first done as carvings in wood, clay, stones, bones, and many more. Ancient Egypt created the most popular paper from a plant named papyrus. With these writing surfaces, humans had a medium that propelled globalization. Script allowed a permanent codification of economic, cultural, religious, and political practice, and were spread over large distances and handed down through time. The printing press. It is said that it transformed markets, businesses, nations, schools, churches, governments, and many more. It also started the information revolution. Before it emerged, the production of written documents was slow and expensive. With the birth of printing press, reading materials was surprisingly made cheaper and easily spread to everyone. This includes books, pamphlets, flyers. In 1979, historian Elizabeth Eisenstein investigated the influence of the printing press, ranging from the Enlightenment, Protestant Reformation, the Scientific Revolution, and many more.
So I am Injit Cantila. I'm gonna report this part, which is the role of media in the globalizations of culture and religion. So the role of media in the globalization of culture and religions, or media using religions and culture. So traditionally, the media have been most involved in the presentation of religions through journalism. So the mass media era began with the development of mass press. So in traditions, the development of a new audiences and new economies, it also developed new content. Before the mass press, most press in Europe and North America were partisan in one way or another, so beholden to political, clerical, even corporate authority. The new economy of mass publications meant that the most could be freed from patronage, and that new readers and audience would be coming to the press for a wider range of material than in the past. So the result was the notion of newspaper and magazines as public records. Presumpble, speaking from positions outside the narrow perspective of special interest, this kind of journalism needed to find its voice, and new models of journalism and new roles for journalism in the public and political life emerged. In the case of North America, religion has not necessarily been part of that mix. For most in 20th century, religion was seen by journalism to be story or religious institutions in their practices and prerogatives. At the same time, these institutions were treated with difference when treated at all. There was much evidence that religious institutions, at least, were of fading importance as the centuries progressed, and journalism were assumed that secularization was moving ahead apace. It was not until late in the century that religions come to be seen as hard news. So largely as the result of news events such as the Islamic revolutions in Iran in 1979, the rise of traditionalist religious movement worldwide, and the emergence of evangelism as political force in North America. So the terrorisms of September 11, 2001, New York, Washington, so DC and Pennsylvania put religions much more squarely on the news agenda, with increasing coverage of religions per among European and North American journalism. So that's all of my part. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. I am Cadet Toricampo, and I'm going to report about the creation of Global Village. So the world viewed as a community in which distance and isolation have been dramatically reduced by electronic media such as television and the internet. Global Village is closely associated with Herbert Marshall McLuhan, the Canadian communication theorist and literature professor held by many as a prophet for the 20th century. McLuhan's mantra, the medium is the message, summarized his view of the influence of television, computers, and other electronic information sources in shaping society and modern life. So, in addition, the late Marshall McLuhan, a media and communication theorist, as what I've said earlier, coined the term global village in 1964 to describe the phenomenon of the world culture shrinking, the expanding at the same time due to per- pervasive technological advances that allow for instantaneous sharing of culture. Johnson 192. Then the assertion that it is possible for all cultures of the world to become one global village is controversial. Though, on one hand, people believe that if it continues, cultural globalization will lead to dazzling marketplace where countries of all economic opportunities are represented and where more fortunate countries come to aid of less fortunate ones with humanitarian efforts. And that's all my report. Thank you.
7 billion people share this planet. But if the world's entire population was squeezed into a village of only 100 people, it would look something like this. Unsurprisingly, half of the people in the village would be male, half would be female. 26 would be children, and 74 would be adults. 8 of these would be 65 or over, representing the growing age of our population. There would be 5 people from the US and Canada, 9 from Latin America, 11 from Europe, 15 from Africa, and 60 from Asia. Migration towards cities means that 51 people would live in the rural outskirts of our village, and 49 in the much smaller urban centre. 77 would have shelter from the elements, 23 would not. Of those that do have housing, the majority would be substandard. 13 people would not have access to clean water, and 22 would not have any electricity. Of those that do, most would use it only for light at night. 18 people would be unable to read or write, but while 10 years ago only 1 person would have a degree education, today that's leapt up to 7. 15 would be malnourished, 1 would be dying of starvation, but 21 would be overweight. Nearly half of the population would live on less than $2 a day, and 1/5 would have to live on less than $1. And every year, 1 person would die, but 2 more would be born to take their place.
So, good day everyone. I am Engine Cadet Sagmon Charles Vincent. Does religion unite the global village? So, according to Vatican expert Malachi Martin, a powerful cardinal in the Vatican, have formed an alliance with leaders of major international humanist organizations such as academia, foundations, non-government organizations, and even some governmental agencies. So these cardinal and humanist leaders have a globalist view. So they believe that the Roman Catholic Church have the only global structure. So this is able to act as a stabilizing social force in the world. So thus the humanist leaders hope that they can be the Roman Catholic Church to side with them in fulfilling their globalist view. So in addition, this explains how globalization has a greater religious tolerance across areas such as politics, economics, and society. And also, the globalization does so, it is also disrupts traditional communities, cause economic marginalization, and it brings individuals mental stress and all which created backlash of religious parochialism. So, although globalization paves that way in bringing the culture, identities, and religions in direct contact, and in the time of which globalization has yet fully complete, it is the process of the religions must use the community easily able through advanced technology and to focus more in humani and pluralistic form of their teaching. So values such as a human dignity and human freedom, it means that to manage religious diversity and avoid violence. In other words, religion world should be open to other tradition and they can teach. So in fact that you should having a fixed text, the major world religion do not have fixed belief, only fix the interpretation of those beliefs, and meaning their beliefs can be rediscovered, reinvented, and reconceptualized. And thank you. That's all my report.
But not only is the world getting smaller, It's becoming more available and more familiar to our minds and to our emotions. The world is now a global village. A global village.
Global Village Theory by Cicely Spica. This is Canadian media theorist Marshall McLuhan. He was the first person to popularize a revolutionary concept that fundamentally changed how people thought about media, technology, and communications to this day. He coined the term global village theory in the year 1964. In one of his books, he states that it is one world interconnected by an electronic nervous system, making it part of our popular culture before it actually happened. McLuhan's theory is a theory to describe the phenomenon of the world's culture shrinking and expanding at the same time due to persuasive technological advances that allow for instantaneous sharing of culture. It is an electronic nervous system that is rapidly integrating the planet. Events in one part of the world could easily be experienced from other parts, similar to the human experience of small village living. Here are a few examples of events that had connected people from all over the world thanks to technology.
The Olympic Games, originated in ancient Greece more than 3,000 years ago and revived in the 19th century. From the 8th century before Christ to the 4th century Anno Domini, games were held in every 4 years in Olympia, located in western Peloponnese Peninsula, in honor of the Greek god Zeus. The first modernized Olympic Games took place on the year 1896 in Athens. There were 280 participants from 13 nations competing in 43 events. In 2016, the Summer Games held in Rio de Janeiro drew an audience of 3.6 billion viewers. Keep in mind, there are only about 7.4 billion people on the planet. That is nearly 50% of the entire world that watched the 2016 Olympic Games.
On July 20, 1969 at 9:32 a.m., the world as we know changed forever. Apollo 11 launched into Earth's orbit, carrying the first man walking on the moon. At approximately 4:18 p.m., lunar module lands. It's now 10:56 p.m., and Neil Armstrong is the first human being to step foot on another planet.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
More than 500 million people watched this event live right on their televisions at home.
The World Cup. The first competition for the Cup was organized in 1930 by the Fédération Internationale de Football Association. The first Cup was won by Uruguay. Since then, the World Cup has been held every 4 years to this day, with the exception of during World War II. It has only proven to be more watched with every passing competition. Conviva CEO Bill Demas stated that the 2018 World Cup held in Russia has proven to be a record-breaking event for streaming TV. We're continuing to see off-the-chart worldwide engagement.